Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode of More Money, where you are listening to the Year of Growth series. Today is the first interview with Jeanne Andrus, and I am so excited that you're here. She is the menopause guru. Welcome, Jeanne.
Thank you, Cassie, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to track Jeanne as she goes through the year, because I get to see all of her amazing growth and how she's stepping into fully being the menopause guru, because that is who she is. And it's just fun to see all the growth that happens. And now you all get to share that. So, Jeanne, I like to start with this. What's awesome right now?
What is awesome right now is that I am living an amazing life, Cassie. I have everything I need to be the menopause guru, to grow as a coach, as a business person, and as a person. And so right now I am looking at a life that is so much fun and so exciting that I can hardly stand that the idea that, 2018 is here and I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. Is that always the way you felt?
No. That would be mean. Um, there have been a lot of years since I started. I moved into the world of entrepreneurship way back when the economy crashed, which was a real good idea. But I started out with personal training and coaching running, and I found myself going in fits and starts. And at the beginning of every year, there would be this tremendous excitement and this tremendous fear underneath it that it was going to be just like last year. So this is pretty new for me.
How does it feel to know it is going to be different?
Different. How's that? It
That's
feels
good.
fabulous. It feels like everything is in place, and I know that I have all the support I need, both from the coaching standpoint and the business standpoint, but also that the universe really does have my back, and I'm really ready to grow and do everything that I set out to do almost a little over 10 years ago.
That's exciting, because I know it's exciting for you, and it's exciting because I know there's somebody listening who's been in that exact same position and can relate to what you're saying. And so I know they're going to be inspired by that. I'm excited about that. Um, just because this is the first interview in this series, would you just walk everybody through how long we've worked together, sort of just what that's looked like, all of that fun stuff?
So I met you, Cassie, through writing my own books, and you were working with my same publisher, The Difference Press, Angela Lauria. And we met at a workshop as was working with her with some marketing, and you were as well. And I realized that you were the person who could unlock all of the things that I knew. I knew that the law of attraction worked. I had seen it in action, and but I couldn't make it work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I talked, and you said, I've got the answer for that. It's not what you think it is either. It's stop making it, trying to make it work, and assume that it already has worked. And so I came to your first to a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember what you called it.
It's the workshop. It's always been mostly called the workshop because it evolves, but it's the same. And so I just always call it the workshop.
So I came to your workshop, and for 3 days, you had me stepping into the person that had already achieved everything I wanted to achieve. And I realized that that was the way to make it work. And so we started working together. That was, I want to say, about 20 months ago. It's not quite 2 years, but
Mm-hmm.
it was, I think, spring 2 years ago. So we're coming up on our second anniversary of
Yeah.
working together. And it's been exciting. It's been sometimes difficult. It's hard to remember to do everything to be there every day, because I for almost 60 years I've been here every day, and to
Yes.
be there every day, spending that much time in the future knowing that everything is working out is sometimes difficult. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say that you have never failed in supporting me in being there, and never failed in not supporting me in being here.
I think that's a good explain that. What does that mean? Not supporting you and being here.
So when I start telling my stories like, here comes another year of trying my hardest, of trying to figure it out, of trying to do it, and all I know is I'm going to fail, and I don't even want to say those words because those are old words.
I
You'll
know.
just you'll just stop it and say, that's a story. That's not real. That's just a story you're telling yourself. And as long as you're telling yourself that story, it'll stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this the other day, and it's this solid, stop telling that story, tell the story that is true, that is the truth of what you want to be underneath yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just been amazing to have that kind of accountability, perception into what I'm saying. And it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been always been easy, and I'm sure it hadn't been easy on your side either, because like so many people say, it's like an onion. You peel off the layers and there's more rotten onion underneath.
But there's more, yeah, and there's more to learn, right? And what
Right.
I think I've learned that I didn't necessarily expect the longer that I've done this work with, the more people that I've done it with, is that sometimes when you grow, there is this step back into this old, some version, right? That just has to get caught up. Like the story just has to catch up with the new version
Exactly.
of yourself. And so it is just keep
And the
doing
fear
it.
comes back. I won't say that there's never been any fear. I won't say that there's never been any discouragement or any of that. That happens. But if you have somebody who's sitting there and questioning the story you tell when that happens, it's much easier to get beyond it.
Yeah, it is, because you don't can I think you're starting to hear it for yourself. But how long do you think it took before you could hear like an old story and not something you wanted to be true?
I don't know that I wanted some of those to be true, but thought they were true,
Oh, yeah.
believed they were true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Those are
think,
better words.
yeah, I think I won't say right away, but I think there's been glimmers of it all along.
Mhm.
You know, when you did your retreat in Denver, and I saw myself surrounded by $10,000 in cash, pretty amazing, and taking photographs in a way that I've never been photographed before and since. Those were pretty amazing glimmers of who I am and who I am meant to be here on this planet.
Mhm.
But to keep it as something that's maybe more of the time than 40 or 50 or 60% of the time,
Mhm.
that's only been happening probably in the last 3 or 4 months, I'd say.
Mhm.
And you might say that it hadn't even been happening that long.
No, I think it definitely has.
Yeah.
I think it's it took and everybody's different, and like you said, there is something about being like having done the story for 60 years is different than having done stories for 30 years, right? That's there
Yeah.
is a difference. And so but I've seen it turn the corner, and I've seen you get better and better, quicker and quicker in the last 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So will you talk, because I know some people, I've gotten some questions that are curious, what is coaching like? What is it like to be in a group coaching program? They don't know if that's, I don't know, makes sense for them, or they get nervous about that.
Coaching's a lot of different things. I know that you and I coach, and for me, a lot of my coaching is answering questions, but for you, a lot of your coaching is asking questions and
Mm-hmm.
uh, catching the things that people are saying that are not uh, true to who they really are. So it's the catching and the questioning. And I think the group coaching has been extremely useful because I hear it as you catch other people. And now I'm learning to catch them in what and then comparing what I see to what you see. So it helps me understand how you're looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to. I guess catch is sort of a awful word, but it's not like, oh, gotcha. But it's really like hearing where they're going, falling into the same traps that I am, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's helpful to know that someone else is doing it as well. And part of that is just knowing. For me, a lot of things that have happened in the last 10 years maybe have been about, am I just totally weird?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this whole thing that happens to us that's, at least it does to me. It's like, do other people think that way? Or is that just me?
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing, you can tell me all you want. And I actually was in therapy for a while. And that was, I probably asked my therapist that every other week, was like, do other people think this way? And so it's really important to see and to listen to other people talk out their own thought processes so you can see that their thought processes just aren't that different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Yeah. And it is helpful. I think it's very helpful to hear someone else. And I actually like the word catch, because it's not catching someone doing something wrong, but it's catching the story before it gets away. That's the way I think of it. Is like you reach out and you pull it back and you go, oh no, that's not what I want to be true. Let's edit it before we release it to the world, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so we're both authors. It's like catching those last minute typos when your, launch team is like, hey, page 48, it's use the wrong there or whatever, And so it's really catching that story and bringing it back to analyze it and say, do we want to write this story another day? So I love that example too. And I agree. I think listening for other people and where you can hear the difference makes it easier for yourself to open up and to learn how to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Um, I think you kind of answered this, but I'm going to ask it again. Why did you make the decision to work with me?
I was working, I when you started working, when we started working together, it was primarily on mindset. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
on marketing stuff.
Yep.
So it was about my own feeling like I was failing at LOA 1
Yeah.
or 101, whatever you want to.
Uh-huh.
But it was like, somebody's got to teach me how to do this. And here's a person who says that she knows how to do it. And she's written 4 or 5 books on it at the time. And you were working with lots and lots of people on it. So I knew that you knew what you were talking about. So it was that whole mindset piece that I came into it for.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed because I know that that's part of what I need, but I also know that you have a tremendous ability to step into the person who receives me and give me honest feedback about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes good sense. Yeah. Yeah, because the relationship is important. And I think you can talk about it if you want, but um, I think you needed a coach who was willing to step in and just be solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of marketing, that's been really wonderful because you're willing to assume the persona of this person that I'm talking to and tell me how things land, because
Yeah.
for me that's a skill I don't have.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, it goes down to, do other people feel this way? I don't know. I don't know if other people have that issue, but for me, it's really very much an issue of how to say something so it lands with the person I want it to land with.
Mhm. I don't think we can talk. We're going to talk a little bit more about the path to paying client, which Jeanne has done a little later in the interview. But I don't think it's a skill that we all are born with at all. and and I honestly think that my ability and training myself to be able to hear people's future self and step in and be the advocate for your future self, versus, because that's where my coaching comes from, is really coaching to your future self, not what I think you should do or shouldn't do. It's
Right.
really about her. And I think learning that and then taking what I know about business is enabled me to do that. I don't think that's a skill I've always been born with. I think it was learned. So that's awesome. What would you say is the biggest difference in your life that you've experienced as a result of us working together?
I think it's less, use my word of the month, anxiety. But it's less worry about whether things are going to work out.
Uh-huh.
There's more feeling of confidence that I am on the right path, and that people will get what I need.
Mm-hmm.
No, let me say that I can give people what they need. I can help them find in themselves the things that they need to get through menopause, which is not an easy chore for a lot of people. And so I think it's just this whole sense that I have someone there that I can run things by
Mm-hmm.
on a really regular basis and say, does this make sense for who I am and who I'm serving? And
Mm-hmm.
that's been really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And you have taken a lot of other marketing stuff before, right?
Right, right.
And it just didn't feel like it clicked.
No, because it was too much, it was too formulaic, and it didn't really help me to see what my particular clients needed out of me.
Mm, that's
Um,
huge.
and so I think a lot of marketing people don't, I mean, I've heard it all before, but I
Uh-huh.
don't think that a lot of them really take it down to that level of, here's X